What's up, guys? Pittsburgh White Shorts back again with another deck tech for you today. I'm joined today by Brian and Andy.
The gang's all here.
What's up, guys?
Today, we're going to be doing a look at choice pants, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. So this is an idea that was brought to us or a comment. It was a question about, can you improve the trial deck like you could improve starter decks in other games? And the answer to that is in Weiss. It's actually pretty hard, and it's kind of a bad idea in a lot of sets, but in sets where the primary like climax combo, whether it's a finisher or a level 1, it's usually a level 1, comes from the TD, you can sort of improve it. And we were reviewing Mushoku at the time, we were getting that video ready, so I thought this would be a good idea to both talk about choice pants and show just sort of a sample build path. So I have 4 iterations here. We'll have links for all different versions of them in the description for our Encore decks. But just to jump right into it here, we have the 2 trial deck matchup. So for the TD and Mushoku, we have the level 1 climax combo that Rudy will see here, and we'll get to that real quick. I'm going to go through card by card pretty quickly here. A lot of these are trial deck cards. They're pretty simple. We got this 4K Roxy. Your opponent can pay 2, and she can't front attack. That never comes up. It's like one of the most fakest 4K conditions ever. We got the Paul Brainstorm. When you trigger a climax, you can give a character 2K, which is pretty cool. Pretty decent trial deck brainstorm second effect, and then he's your typical draw brainstorm. We have the Rudy Stock Bomb. The Rudy Stock Bomb is on attack. You can discard a card and bounce one of your other characters to hand, so this can help you loop stuff. You can pop a combo back to your hand so you can use it the next turn. If you need to filter something out of your hand, it's also a ditch out, as also being a stock bomb in the early game. 3 of the trial deck drop searchers. We won't need this card later on because of another card that we're going to add very soon when we get into just mixing in some booster cards. But some selection is always good because we have a draw brainstorm, so every little bit helps. 1 card that will be here all throughout every single iteration is the Roxy Climax Swap. This card's insanely good. On play pump 15 anywhere, including herself, and Climax Swap. I think pretty much any deck would be really happy to have this card. Last one here is we have the Zenith level swap. It can swap a card in your level if you rest it, and it's a global 5. Nice little power pump at level 0, and then can help us hit our experience requirement. Every deck in Mushoku that's playing this level 1 Rudy combo needs experience, so having a little bit of assurance on that is a nice thing to have. So the Rudy combo itself, it combos off this choice that you see down here. It is experience 2. On attack, gains 1500, and you check up to 3 cards from the top of your deck and add a character from among them. This card is just really, really good, super solid. The deck has a lot of tools to loop it. The fact that it attacks in a high power level means that you can challenge standby just on its own without any other pumps, or with any pumps you can hit over 1/1s, which is really sick. The high power line really helps incentivize you to loop it throughout the game, as well as, you know, the deck speed. Looking up to 3, getting big, pretty good. And experience 2 is pretty free, even with 2 trial decks matched together. We have this Roxy next. She is a Shimakai, so pump 500 times your board to another character, and on your opponent's turn, she gets 1,000 per your backer, I believe. This is only a card we're running because, you know, it's a TD matched up 2. We just need playable cards to jam in our slots. In the exact same vein, we have the Maid. She is like a 6K if you're playing the game and has hand on core. Card's pretty garbage, but, you know, just another attacker. We also have Vanilla 1/1 2500 counter. Maybe we can use it to save one of our Rudies in combo again. If we didn't pop them back to our hand with our Rudy bomb or something like that. Just a way to protect our characters. We have this 2/1 Paul. He gets 1,000 times your characters when you attack, so you can kind of clear early plays. And then if you cancel the damage in his lane on your turn, so when your opponent attacks you, he can pop back to hand, so you might get your card back. Pretty okay filler slot. We got a level assist here, just 500 times level in front, and you can rest it and swap a card in your level. Just another experience assurance. We don't have a lot of level 3s because, you know, there's not many to work with. There's only 2, and one of them's not really good enough to run 4 of, so we need extra ways to make sure that we hit our experience when we have these 2 trial decks. Last card here, just honestly filling out the slots. This is the event. It's either a search event, you search a character from deck, or you can give a character 3,500 cross turn, but then it doesn't stand. The second effect is really bad, but it's functional extra copies of our other cards, since we're 2 trial decks, and we can only run so many cards that we have access to. Getting into our level 3s, we have the Roxy. She's an on-play healer. Or on attack, you can pay 2, ditch 2, and then burn 2. Pretty okay off finisher, but it's our primary finisher in this deck since we don't have a level 3 climax combo. And then lastly, we have the level 3 Rudy. He is immediate experience condition. He gets a little bit of extra power. And then he is a top check X, so he can help you get into climaxes to loop combo or something like that, I guess. Or at least cantrip. You know, those are 2 trial decks here. We don't got a lot to work with. And then for our climax, we got the choice that goes with our Rudy, and then an empty book. That is the only time you'll see the book in the deck, because we're going to replace it immediately. For 2 trial decks, it's better than other 2 trial deck mashups. Probably not as good as Gurren Lagann, but it's okay. Nothing too crazy. You're basically very hard carried by the level 1 combo, being as good as it is, and you have climax swap to make sure you do it more often. The 4K is also nice to have in a trial deck. But we'll move right into booster cards. Deck is immediately going to start looking like more what you will see in a normal choice pants list. We still have the 4K. We still have a lot of these cards. I'm going to only touch on the cards that we're adding or changing. You can see that the ratios changed a little bit. We cut down ratios of cards as we get more selective, and we add other cards to sort of make space for newer, better cards. And obviously, we're going to cut a lot of the chaff, a lot of the really bad cards from the TD. First, we have the Roxy filter. It's on play. You look at the top card of your opponent's deck, look at the bottom card of your opponent's deck for free, and then you can discard any card and salvage the event. And I'll talk about the event when we get to it. The event's really good. We want to play that pretty much every turn when we get past level 1. So making sure we can have that in hand, being a free ditch out, is always good. Since we are hard up for mill, and we're not having any double rares in this iteration of the deck, we are going to play the Chiyuri. It is an on-death level 1 or higher Chiyuri. In this deck, it's a little bit better than most, because you have a lot of level 1s that you want to add, including your event, and it's a little bit of extra deck speed for not a lot of extra money. Moving into level 1s, we have this Roxy. This is Roxy as like a linchpin of the Choice Pants deck, and it's the reason why we're running, as you can see here, we went from a book to an empty pants. This Roxy is 500 per each other, and then no matter where she is on the stage, when you trigger either of these specific climaxes, you can pay 1 and draw 1. This is the ultimate sandbag card. It's what keeps you fueled throughout the game, even if you're not winning board. And it also pays out climaxes, basically makes it almost impossible to have dirty stock. The only way for you to really have a bad deck state with this card and with cards that we'll add coming later is if you draw climaxes off that 1 card draw. Notably with choice, you can take the stock off the choice and then pay 1, and then it's a literal free card, and your choice gets paid out, which is a really cool interaction. And then it's also just a 6k beater. And again, this effect can trigger from anywhere. This card can chill in your back row and still go off. Other rocks we have, this is a back row card. It is a 500 global assist. It is a 1000 power assist to specifically your TD Rudy climax combo. And then it has an effect where if you are level 3 or higher, you can sack it and change into the 3/2 Roxy, which we'll talk about later, from your hand. You can free summon that. Really cool card. It helps us sort of play for board with our Rudies, because they'll be 6/5, and then we can play our counter that we have here next and go up to 8/5, back up over even standby targets with a little bit of pump. And it's just a nice good incidental power pump on our turn as well. So because we sort of don't have the full package here, eventually the deck will cut the field-based package and sort of just play more into its own consistency with other cards that we will add later. But since we don't really have any double rares right now, and we're still kind of all in on our level 1 here, whether we're playing the Roxy or the Rudy or a mixture of each, we want to be able to protect them and loop them as much as we can. So that's why we're running this as a 2 count, other than the 1 count that you might see in meta decks. 2k counter, nothing special here, just a normal 2k counter. We got this 1/1. It is an Adachi, stock Adachi. It has a really cool other effect with a card that we will run later, where you can ditch a copy of the Rudy level 0 center runner and spawn your climax from deck. So it becomes really hard to whiff your level 1 combo when you have this in. We're running it right now just as an Adachi. We'll bump the count up as we add that card to the deck. Now here is the card, the Roxy event. This is the reason you want to play Mushoku Tensei at all. This card is absolutely insane. You got to have a Roxy to play it, and then it's on play. You search a card from your deck, discard a card from your hand. So you search a character from your deck, discard any card from your hand, and then send this card to memory. So it's a costless card that goes to memory, and you are negging one when you play it. However, when you level up, you can pop any number of this card from your memory when you level up, even if that's on your opponent's turn or whatever, and then search your deck for a character. So it goes even in card advantage, but it removes 2 cards from your current deck that aren't going to be going back into your next refresh. So it's like a +2, +3 compression if you can get this card over your next deck. It's one of the main ways Mushoku can run away with the game and even start crashing lanes and sandbagging, because their compression is so good. They can constantly pay out climaxes with their Roxy and stuff like that. But because they always have clean stock and they're always resolving this card, usually multiple times per turn, they can really have some disgusting deck states where they just cancel a bunch of damage. Card is super, super insane. I know Andy's played into this card before a little bit. Any other thoughts about the Roxy event? Probably the most important card in the set.
Yeah, it's a really solid card. It's kind of annoying that you can, like, middle of the attack step on my turn, get that deck thinning.
Mm-hmm.
But
and just get the perfect card too for the next.
Yeah,
turn.
like you can, like, mid combat, like, search up a counter for my last attack, or you know, whatever. Just the fact that you're ripping 2 clean cards out, and the double compression is really nice, and the fact that it's kind of unavoidable for me swinging into it in a lot of cases, because if you're at, like, high count of a level, right? So if you're at, like, 1-6 or 2-6 or whatever, right? Like, I'm gonna be hitting you into the next level up, so.
It's always gonna go off. It's like an inevitability.
I mean, it's why Schwartz, you win by sticking the damage, so you have to do it at some point.
It must progress the game. Yep, moving on. Speaking of counters you can search out mid-combat, this is one of the scariest ones possible. Imagine your opponent with their card that they pop from memory when they level up from like 2-6 to 3. They search out this rest counter. So this is a pay 5 overall, because you pay 4 and then you ditch an additional characters along with the 2-1 cost of the backup, and rest one of your opponent's characters on their stage so they lose an attack. This is an absolutely debilitating play a lot of the time. It forces your opponent to immediately play around something that you didn't even have access to when they went to attacks. It can be incredibly annoying, and then they also have to look at Rudy's underwear face, which is always, funny. But yeah, rest counter is really good. As we improve the deck with other cards, our top end's going to be extremely stock light. So we can pretty much almost always threaten this card, even after we full combo, which is a really cool part about the deck, is especially because we're playing choice. So we have the ability to generate more than 3 stock in a turn if we trigger. And then we fog our opponent's attack. So the fact that we triggered is pretty negligible at that point if we're going to pay this out and fog their attack. So a really important part of the deck, always being able to threaten it, is really, really annoying. Unless, of course, your cards are hexproof. Then you don't have to worry about it. But a really cool tool, defensive tool for the deck. Moving into our level 3s, we're still going to be running the Roxy off finisher because we don't have the finisher in the deck because it is a double rare. The goal for this, version 1, the other one being version 0, is that no double rares yet. Just some pickups that you can get from you or your friends, other locals, booster openings, just things you can pick up for $1 here, $1 there, and make your deck a little better.
Yeah, man, those double rares are hard to get, those booster packs are expensive, man.
Mm-hmm.
So we got this early play healer. It is a 2 or less ditch any card heal to stock, so just your normal heal to stock early play. Pretty simple, but a hell of a lot better than what we had before. It gives us, a 2 soul beater at level 2, which is always good and helps us heal. So it brings us up to 7 healers, which is really nice. And then lastly, we have the Roxy back row card. You can free summon this from your hand by sacking the 1/0 Roxy. Bring this out, and it comes down from hand, so you get all the abilities. It is a 2k to front assist. It is draw 2, ditch 1 on play, so it can help dig you into climaxes or additional events. No events at level 3 aren't too great, or maybe your counter or something else. And then it has this other effect, which is super crazy. So whenever you trigger a climax, after this card is down on the board, you give any character on your board 1,000 power and twin drive for the turn. So that is yet another way for you to pay out climaxes during your attack step, even if you don't have any way to give it, or you're not playing a card, you just kind of get it along with your level 3 dig and your 2k to front assist. Really cool card. The fact that you can free summon it is super amazing. And these two cards, in some fashion, this and the 1/0 Roxy, will stay in the deck all the way throughout. And they're really cheap pickups, only being rares. So moving into, almost the complete actual deck, we got our initial double rare upgrades. As you can see here, we got at level 0, we got 2 cards that we're going to add, and then we're adding 2 level 3s, and we're going to add our actual finisher. So the first card, you don't really have to pick up at this phase. I threw it in here just because it sort of rounds out the level 0 lineup. Mushoku is a deck that wants to play, a lot of, field plussing zeros at level 0, and before, we've really only had 4. So I think it's important, as soon as you can, to sort of, get on sort of like that 7 field plus train where you're running, 4 traditional field plus and then 3 of this clean cut. It is on play, reveal top. If it's a character, you put it underneath your this character's marker. And then if it has a marker during your turn, gains 2k, and then it's a clean cut. So it's a 3500 clean cut that can reveal your top card. The card also gives you 5 card brainstorms throughout the game. Things like that. All the benefits of a Futaba while also being a clean cut card is super sick. And because you want to have that extra stock overhead, you want to start compressing early, getting that tri-lane on your turn 2 is really nice to get that extra stock overhead, sort of rockets you into the rest of the game. If you don't want to get this card and you want to prioritize some other cards, like maybe the Brainstorm's pretty expensive the way Mushoku shakes out, since there's not a lot of other Brainstorm options. You can pass on this card and play another plussing zero instead. But speaking of the Brainstorm, Mushoku is one of those sets where there is only one real Brainstorm that you play, and it is this Roxy. It is a self-rest salvage Brainstorm. The only other options are the draw Brainstorm and a Brainstorm specifically for gold bars. So this is your only selective plus Brainstorm option. But it has a super sick second effect. Whenever you slam a climax, choose any character on your field, including herself, and give it Twin Drive for the turn. So yet another way for you to pay out climaxes mid-combat. Like I said, really hard to get dirty stock. This is the most important card for you to upgrade here if you're looking at double rares to add to your deck. Make the jump and get this one. With current Japanese prices, this card's around $18, $20 a copy because it goes in, again, every single deck. So if you're ready to make the jump and spend some money on the deck, this is the first card, double rare, that you should buy. But pretty simple otherwise. And then with that, the rest of the deck is almost the same until we hit level 3. We are playing the Roxy finisher. She is an extra 2k on your turn only, no other conditions, so she's 11k. She's on play heal, always nice. And then at the end of your attack, when you have the pants down, you can ditch nothing and burn 1 for free, or you can choose to ditch any 2 cards and burn for 3. So end of attack, you get to see what your opponent's damage state is, and then burn for either 1 or 3, depending on their deck state and how much damage they have, how much you need to push. The fact that it is stock free means that we get to still threaten our tap counter afterwards. That's still a lot of hand, but hand is one of the things that we keep very easily with our other cards, so it's really not that big of a deal. Perfect finisher for this kind of deck, and again, because of how the strength of that 1/0 blue Roxy, the one that lets us pay 1 when we trigger a climax and draw a card, it shoehorns us into these finishers anyway, so this is what we'd be wanting to play. We got pretty decent card, not the best finisher, but far from the worst. The fact that it's end of attack means that you have a lot of agency over what you want to do and a lot of more information that you would normally have with just a normal burn combo. Other level 3 we're adding, this one is actually pretty cheap with the current JP prices. It is the Big Rudy early play. He is a 4 or more early play. If you have experience 6, he is a 10-5 on his own, and then he is on play, gain 4,500, and your opponents cannot play backups against him cross turn. So if you meet the condition, he's just, a 15, or what is that? That is 15k, yeah. 15k on his own. So he is very, very big. Fulfills the same role as sort of President and Kaguya. These cards are really, really good right now in both formats, and we don't foresee that changing anytime soon unless an English original swings through and changes everything. So these cards will remain very good, and this will be the primary early play we want to play. Well, obviously, we're going to shift down our healer to primarily play this card because this card is more relevant in more matchups in both formats. We're going to slant towards this one. So finally, moving on to the final deck, it is pretty much the same. We are making some alterations to our level 0 lineup, just sort of going whole hog. One of the most expensive cards in the set is the Rudy Runner, which I'll talk about now. He is a extra 2k if you have 5 or more hand, and then he's a center runner, so it's literally Armin. You played English for a long time, exactly the same card. The card is very important for Mushoku. It's good going first, it's good going second, it's good against the meta where people either want to clean cut or go really slow. It helps mitigate damage, it helps open yourself up to damage if you want to get to the next level whenever you want. Card's extremely important, and again, it also works with our 1/1 Adachi, which we've now bumped up to 2 copies, where we can pitch a copy of this and spawn our climax. So even more upsides there. Card is super good, and it's the most expensive card in the set for a reason. Now that we're on sort of the final deck list, we're finally going to put it in. Instead of the Chiuri, we are now opting for the Sylphie. The Sylphie is a 500 power global and pay 1, send it to memory, top check 3. The reason we'd play this over the Chiuri, even though it's stock costed, is that if we need stock outs at level 0, we previously our only out was kind of Brainstorm or Climax Swap, which we might not want to do all the time. And because of the way the rest of our deck works, one of the only times we can get dirty stock is at level 0. So having a level 0 stock out is pretty important. Also has really great synergy with both of our plussing level 0s, being a 500 global, making our clean cut 4K, making our center runner 4K, being a good clean cut target in and of itself, while also being modular deck speed throughout the game. That is a stock, compression neutral stock out, which is always cool. So yep, just small optimizations here. The bigger thing with the final deck is just sort of because you have all the rest of these cards in here, you now can afford to cut down on other cards. So you see we have a 1/1 split of the 1/0 back row Roxy and the 3/2 back row Roxy. Because we're so hyper selective, we don't really need to prioritize running extra copies of those cards because we have the event. We can always search our deck every turn. We have our Brainstorm for grave access. We want to play the event a lot, so we're running 3 of the Wander Roxy. We have that 1 Climax Swap in there just for assurance. And then because we need to hit experience in our colors, running 5 yellow level 3s and 5 blue level 3s. So we have easy access to finishing out our experience requirement. Any other comments on the deck, guys, before we wrap up here?
I mean, I haven't had the pleasure of playing into Mushoku yet, but the list seems really solid. I'm a big fan of of all of the consistency tools, these tools to clean your stock that the deck affords. The fact that the final deck plays the same level 1 combo as the TD. I like the fact that it is more easily upgraded than other sets as well, which I guess is why we're doing this video.
Yeah,
it seems to slot right in.
When this doesn't happen, it is very hard to upgrade a TD, which is why I opened the video with saying it's either a good idea or a really bad idea. When it's a good idea, it's usually when there's a really good climax combo in the TD, and that does happen. Bushiroad likes to push their introductory products sometimes, because of course it's extra revenue for them, and it's a useless TD with no cards you need for the meta deck. No one buys it, so, except for people who are learning, because TDs are always good value for new players. Definitely want to mention that. They do teach you a lot about how to play the game, and they're very good sort of first steps into Weiss Schwarz.
Definitely.
This one probably being a better one than most, though.
Yeah, I think they've been doing a good job of that lately, making the trial decks just overall have more impactful cards in them, especially with the level 1 combos. I think recently we've seen more decks have that option of having like a viable level 1 combo in the trial deck.
Yeah, it's definitely a really nice option for players.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of solid trial decks, I know we'll have the Rent-A-Girlfriend set review coming out in the coming weeks here, and that set has a very strong trial deck.
Yeah, that deck has probably one of the strongest TDs they've ever made. This one's up there too. I think the only thing with this trial deck out of the box is they only give you 2 level 1 Rudies, so you really do have to buy 2 and mash them together to get that full play set.
Oh, that's where you're coming out with the classic 2 trial deck mashup.
Yeah, they don't give you 4 of the level 1. So otherwise, I'd say by all means, 2 climax swaps, 4 level 1s. Just play the TD out of the box. But When you gotta buy 2, you gotta buy 2.
Forcing your hand into 2 of them, yeah.
Yeah, I implore everyone to try this deck out when it comes to English, or if you want to pick it up in JP, I don't think it's too bad. Again, the big hit cards here, the Level 0 Rudy Runner and the Roxy Brainstorm. Those cards go in every single deck, so they command a premium price. But I think everything else is pretty cheap. The Eris is somewhere between $7 to $8. Sylphie is somewhere between $5 to $7. And the finisher is only $5, which is why I put it in the initial double R ads that you would add, because it is very cheap comparably to the rest of the double rares. But yep, just wrapping it up here. Card games competitive. The Discords we shill every single time. We don't run or operate them, but we are active in them. They're great places to maybe catch some webcam games or just talk about Weiss. There's also the Facebook groups, Weiss Schwartz Global Community and NA Community, depending on where you are. Global is the most active one. There are also reveals that are posted global that are translated by the community for Japanese, which are really cool if you want to be up to date on sets. Those reveals are also in the Discord as well if you don't like to use Facebook. But Global's a really big buy-sell trade hub as well. So if you're looking to pick up maybe some older stuff, definitely give that a look. And if you're interested in trying Mushoku before it comes to English and you don't want to deal with translations and stuff like that, you can check out Weiss Fight. Mushoku is one of the sets on Weiss Fight where we do have community translations available for all the Mushoku cards. So you are able to hop on Weiss Fight, grab any of the Encore Dex links from our description, and plug it in there and just play with anyone from all over the net. You don't even need voice chat. It's really similar to Dueling Book. If you ever use that, it runs right in your browser. Really cool. There's also a Patreon if you'd like to support Weiss Fight. We'll also link that, as well as a Discord to provide feedback to the dev. They are very quick at implementing extra features and stuff like that, so definitely give that a look. Anything else you guys want to add before we get out of here?
I don't think so, man. You said it just as good as I could have.
I'm getting
Maybe
real
even
good
a
at
little bit better.
I'm getting real good at rattling all the stuff off that we say at the end of every video. It's been a while now. We're almost to 900 subscribers, which is somewhere I never thought we'd be. We are very, very appreciative of all of your support. We cannot thank y'all enough. Yeah, when we get to 1K, we can do some really cool stuff. So definitely shoot us off to all your friends. Tell them to subscribe. When we get to 1K, we can stream our locals every week off a GoPro, which is really nice. There's a 100 subscriber lockout on that feature. And it's something I've wanted to do for a long time because it's really easy to set up. But got to get to 100K subs first, which will be really cool. Or not 100K, just
1,000,
just
yeah.
1K.
Someday 100K.
Someday 100K. I hope Weiss Schwartz becomes that popular. But yep, I think that's it. Pittsburgh Weiss Schwartz signing off. We'll see you guys in the next one.